A court of fairies and fiction. Akafath Girls Podcast. Hosts Mel and Liv. Episode 5, Scents and Secrets. Okay, hi.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. We are going on a tangent about the characters' scents and trying to figure them out because they're very confusing. And random people have the same scents as random people and not even in their family. And it just makes no sense to us whatsoever, except for Lauren having that citrus scent like Rhys and Moore. I don't know if I don't think it mentioned Cormac's scent either.
It didn't mention Cormac's scent.
Okay.
But Mel and I keep going back and forth, right? Because like I've personally looked at that for like a very long time, and I can't make sense of it because you have Feyre, Bryce, and Tamlin all smell like lilac, and like I just don't understand that. Unless the humans smell like lilac, but that really wouldn't make sense because Tamlin's not human at all, right?
Tamlin was never human. No.
He's not human at all.
Mm-mm. So Tamlin's scent is lilac, cedar, and something earthy. And then when Feyre was human, she also said that he smelled like fresh rain or something like that. And then Hunt's scent is rain and cedar. which is so weird. And then Bryce is lilac and nutmeg. Feyre is lilac and pear. Rhys is citrus and sea. So why would Rhys and Feyre have two completely different scents?
And why wouldn't it have like merged or even just like one of them? Like be like lilac and citrus or something, you know?
Yeah, wouldn't Feyre be like citrus and pear?
Yeah.
Or like something? Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird to me. And then Azriel he's also night chilled mist, which could be rain, and cedar.
Who else smells like cedar? It's
Tamlin and Hunt.
And then Az. Tamlin, Hunt, and Az smell like cedar. I do not understand.
I don't.
It's completely random, but like I feel like nothing with her is
I know. I would actually be very annoyed if she made the sense random. Although I feel like from book to book she forgets a lot sometimes. So I don't know.
I mean, maybe everyone just smells random, but it's like, why would you even include the smells in the books?
Yeah.
Do you know? Unless
it's weird. So one thing I did find interesting, which I don't really think it's gonna account for anything, but I haven't read Tog yet, but I know you kind of started.
Yeah.
But someone said that Aylin's scent is jasmine, lemon, and crackling embers. She's like a fire, whatever. And then Rowan is pine and snow. And then Cassian is snow-chilled wind and crackling embers. So like,
And crackling embers is like an oddly specific, like
oddly specific. And you know who else smells like crackling embers who actually isn't on this list? The Autumn King.
Does he really?
Yeah, I like just read it the other day.
Isn't he nutmeg and crackling embers?
Nutmeg and crackling embers, and Bryce is lilac and nutmeg. And Ember Quinlan is honeysuckle and nutmeg.
See, it doesn't make wait, she's honeysuckle and nutmeg?
Mm-hmm.
And Bryce is lilac and nutmeg.
Mm-hmm.
And Einar's nutmeg.
And crackling embers. Or like fire burned ash or like something like that.
Yeah.
Same thing. And I'm just like,
What an interesting.
It's very weird.
Like I don't see a connection with any of it, but I honestly feel like there has to be. Because like, why don't we know? Well, I guess we do know Lauren's scent, but why don't we know Rune's scent? Why don't we know?
Yeah, it's weird. And then we have Moore, who is citrus and cinnamon, right? Yeah. And then Allied from Tog is cinnamon and elderberry. Like they're the only two that had cinnamon. And then we have Dorian, who is Sea and Winter Morning, which what what? And
Well,
Reese
when
is Citrus and Sea. It's
I was
just it makes no sense.
okay, because when you said that, I was like, there's that theory that going around right now that Dorian is, or like Reese is a descendant of like Dorian.
Yeah. Or yeah.
But
Could
and because
be.
I feel like I was like, oh, this is like these are family smells, like right,
Yeah.
like Ember and the Autumn King and Bryce, they all like
Yeah.
share a, but like
Which
you
is
know,
weird because is Ember the Autumn King's mate? And
huh,
and if we had a theory that mates share one particular scent,
I thought they did.
wouldn't that mean that Feyre was supposed to be Tamlin's mate
Yeah,
and something interrupted that? Like, I don't know, a Daemati.
I literally was just gonna say that. I was like, it's interesting that Feyre still smells like lilac. Can we
Yeah,
talk about how crazy of a twist would it be? And I know it's never gonna happen.
I know.
I know it's never gonna happen. If truly Tamlin and Feyre were mates and Reese was the villain like everyone's been talking about. Oh
Dude,
my,
we have to do a Reese in his villain era episode because I have so many things to say.
I love it. And I like love it because it's so outlandish and like so but like kind of makes a little
But
sense,
it's
but
not outlandish. Like, if you're not looking in Farah's point of view, which is why I think the books are limited first person,
mhm.
he is a villain to everybody else.
Well, you know, Amryn calls him a sneaky bastard, and
She does.
I forgot what book it was.
I love that. I love that. I love that so much.
Amryn calls him out. She was like, "You're a sneaky bastard, and you've always been one, and you will always be
You
one," or
always
something.
have been. I know. I was like, yes.
I was like, someone calls him out. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
You know what I want to see? I want to see. I don't remember if I mentioned this. I don't remember what we've said half the time, but I want to see Elaine have visions of stuff that Reese has done or is currently doing in the background. And have her be the one to figure out, like, maybe he isn't like this innocent brother-in-law that my sister's in love with.
How crazy would that be?
I want
I
it so bad.
I really don't like Elaine. I'm one of those people that's like, I'm not her
She
biggest fan.
she's 50-50 to me, so is Cassian. They're on the same wavelength for me.
Yeah.
Um, but I really want her to come into her own. And actually, since we already know that like Nesta and Feyre and Reese and Cassian and all these people are like, she doesn't really belong in the Night Court. Like, she's not ending up in the Night Court.
No.
So I want her to fight for her own court, which you can fight over whichever court it is that you think.
Yeah.
Whatever. Personally, I think it's the day court with Lucian, but
Yeah.
I want her to be able to fight for her own life, unlike Nesta, who was literally just, bothered and bothered and bothered and bothered and bothered and bothered until she just fucking gave in because she's like, what else am I gonna do? My mate works for Reese, so where the fuck else am I gonna go? Um,
See,
but see, Elaine literally has an out.
well, what I want to see from Elaine, which I think is going to be very interesting, is I want Elaine's POV because, like you said, she really doesn't belong there. But Elaine's this sweet, like optimistic,
I don't
everyone.
think she is. I think she's just a secret fucking badass.
I hope she's a secret badass because I want to see how she sees Reese. I want to see how she sees Feyre. I want to see how she sees Tamlin from her point of view. Like,
Yeah,
I want to know how they're going to translate through POV.
I
It's going to
know.
be told
I know. It's gonna be amazing.
because
See, we got a hint of it when Nesta's like, fuck you. And Elaine just laughs and she's like, I love that.
like you never said that to me
You
before.
never said that to me before. Like, you're
I
actually treating me like an adult.
I actually did like the reaction to that. I was like, wow, that was really unexpected. Like,
That was really funny.
she's got thick skin,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think she's just, I don't want to say that she's not actually hurting because of Grayson. I think there's probably something underlying there.
Yeah.
Because, like, how long did she actually know him? We don't even know, right?
No.
Like, his house was a literal, like, fortress. She's like, oh, I met him at a dance. Like, so did she meet him at a dance when they were, like, rich?
I thought that her and Grayson met after Tamlin had reinstated them to be rich.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
Okay, I forgot. Yeah.
I might be wrong.
At a dance. Yeah, at a dance.
And so they had like held a ball at their new rich house and like Grayson.
Yes. Yes.
When you think about it, because Feyre was with Tamlin for what was it, kind of like a year? Like how long were her and Tamlin together?
Yeah, it was
And
like a year and 6 months because um the Under
maybe
the Mountain thing was 6 months, and then she was
okay.
in the Spring Court for 6 months, and then in Akamath, she said that they had been engaged for 3 months,
So
and
yeah,
then she's in the Night Court, air quotes, for like 3 months, and she gets married to Reese.
yeah.
So technically, it was like a year and maybe 4 or 5 months officially.
It's not like Elaine was with Grayson for very long. It was literally even less time than Feyre was with Tamlin, right?
Yeah, or
I don't know.
about the same, about the same. But like she knew that his like father was awful, and which again, SJM with literally all these awful fathers except for Helion, who doesn't even know he has a kid.
But he is an awful father because I think
Wow. Controversial opinion. Go off. He's an awful father.
so here's my thing, and like everyone, and I do love Helion, like I love him dearly, but like here's my problem with Helion, right? Is like he Lady A loved him. He knew it. He knew it before she married Baron. He did not come back for her. And then they like had a fling afterwards, right? And like he didn't like fight for her. He's like she chose to stay, but then I don't see him like he could have fought more for her and he knows
So,
she's being abused. And he doesn't do anything. He's like, she chose that. Whatever.
so
That's
devil's
crappy.
advocate. Can I play devil's advocate?
Advocate.
Okay. So they met before she married Baron. So Lady Autumn was 20 when she married Baron.
Right.
We don't really know how old Helion was, but he wasn't the High Lord at that point because
Okay.
I like to think it was his twin brother, but that's my headcanon. Someone else was High Lord at this point.
Okay.
Because he didn't become High Lord until Amarantha, like, killed the High Lord in the rebellion and everything. So we don't really know if we don't know his age. Like, we know now that he's about 500 years old, just like Lady A, but he could have been the same age as her. They could have both been in their 20s.
Okay.
Like they're both Fae, but they could have both been in their 20s. Because she does say that she met him at was it like a winter ball? Was it like or like an,
Can't remember. I can't remember what more and
it was some sort of solstice or equinox ball.
yeah.
And they fell in love, and then her parents made her marry Baron. And then they had the fling and everything like centuries later. But that was after he saved her from Hybern,
Mhm.
which had to have been before Amarantha decided to make herself queen, which again, that kind of doesn't really make sense to me, but it's fine. So Hybern was sending soldiers into the Autumn Court, which odd for some reason. Yeah,
You're
weird. Decided to attack the Autumn Court, which again, yeah, weird. I don't know. Unless Baron was working with him secretly. Who knows?
Oh,
And that's why he didn't want to work against him. I don't know. Um, but we get the whole story that Lady Autumn was visiting her sister's village in the Autumn Court, and Hybern attacked the village, and her sisters told her to run, and they went in opposite directions. And Highburn beasts killed her sisters, and then they literally cornered her. And Helion did come and save her. He came to save her, but listen, you don't think Baron has wards around his court? Helion's a spell cleaver. The only way he would physically know that Lady Autumn was in danger is if they're mates. And he came and he spell cleaved through the wards and he got her and he brought her back to the day court. And that's when their whole thing started, which is when they like conceived Lucian, obviously. But he says, like, in the beginning, when her parents made her marry Baron, he had to have asked her because he said that she chose, like, he's my husband. She had children. Like, she already had Eris at that point, I think.
Yeah, I think she had the kids too.
Yeah, she had, like, at least Eris. I don't know. Again, the timeline's weird. But she's like, he's my husband. Even if she didn't have the kids, she said, he's my husband. And she wouldn't leave him. And not only that, but he said that if she did leave Baron for him, that would cause a war between their courts. Which, again, at the time, he wasn't High Lord. He wasn't High Lord.
Sure, he wasn't High Lord because, like, if you're mates with someone, right? Like, don't you have that drive and desire, like, come hell or high water, I'm gonna get my mate? And Helion's like,
well, see, that's why I think his relative was the High Lord. Because if he did that and he caused a war between the two courts, it wouldn't just be like his problem, it would be the High Lord's problem. And he would be dragged into it, or there's no she. He would be dragged into it.
mm-hmm.
So, like, he didn't really have the authority to start a war.
We need to look that up. We need to look up, because I could have sworn he was High Lord at that point. I could have sworn it.
I don't think so. But I mean, he could have been, but still, I mean, even if she's like, I'm not leaving my husband, like, I'm not coming back, like, you can't really force her. I mean, Rhys can force Feyre, but she can really force her. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's basically just like, unlike how Rhys is all words and he was like, I would have let you be happy with Tamlin. There's no fucking way. He literally had an eyeball on her palm.
No.
I think Helion like actually kept to that. Like, if she chose Baron, she chose Baron. Right?
But like,
and that just makes it more tragic.
No, it makes him awful because
it makes him awful to not start a war for her.
Well, like, that's right. Okay.
But she had children at this point.
That is true. And you want to know what? I get her point of view because, like, you can't leave the kids with Baron. You can't.
That's what I was going to say. Like, by law, in the Autumn Court, his children are his property. His wife is his property. Like we had with Eris. If I touched more, she would have became my property, and they were just engaged. So
yeah, but here's my
he would have destroyed the day court to get her back, just so that he wouldn't be like, overpowered or whatever, humiliated.
Yeah. My thing is if Helion and Lady A are mates, right? And Baron is like beating her up, being like, you slept with Helion, blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't he physically feel that? And it would be like so upsetting to him that he has this need to like take care of and protect Lady A. And like, he straight up doesn't do it. And he straight up knows like she gets beaten like bloody. It's just, and then he goes off knowing all this. This really pissed me off. And he is.
Oh no, I know what's coming. Just say it.
Which part?
Just say it. And then he goes and he sleeps with more.
Sleeps with more, and he's like super promiscuous, and he's like, okay, I'm really sad. I'm gonna go everybody that I can, and that's how me and Mor heal.
Okay, like, that's to be fair, like father, like son. I mean,
But I love Lucian, so if he wants to do it, it's fine.
He wants to do it, he's fine. But Helion can't do it.
No, yeah. And Lucian, when he was doing that, did not have a mate. Like
But I feel
he
like Lady Autumn like gave him a final answer and he's just respecting that because
was
she would like he was looking at her at the meeting, she wouldn't even look at him. She wouldn't look at him and he was like staring at her. And even the second meeting after the war, he tried to look at her and she still wouldn't look at him.
wait, really? He tried to look. Oh, I don't remember that part. I think it's because I don't like Helion.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
oh yeah. He like Feyre makes note that he like is always looking at her and like she refuses to look at him. But they had like one little moment where like she snuck a peek, I think. I'm like,
oh,
but
it's so.
I think that's why that he had that like conversation with Feyre after the meeting, and I forget what the quote was, but like he looked like haunted or something. But I think he absolutely is feeling her pain, and that's how he knows that Baron is leaving bruises on her, right?
Yeah,
Because how else would he know?
yeah.
He hasn't seen her face to face in like centuries, at least since they conceived Lucian. Lucian's like 300 something, 400 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's like, what does he do to her? He leaves bruises where no one else but him can see them. So unless Lady Autumn is sending him letters anonymously month to month, like, which they
So
could be doing, they could be sending each other like letters.
they could be communicating. So that's interesting. So he really was just like staring at her the whole time.
Mhm. He was he
And
was
but
he was passing glances, yeah. But he was very careful because Baron was there.
I was gonna say Baron, like you
Yeah.
can't that Baron wasn't
But
like oh
I think
well,
that's also but I think that's also why Eris was like this
to Helion or to Baron.
to Lady Autumn. Remember he was like sitting with like a shoulder in front of her?
So Helion couldn't see her.
No, so Baron couldn't see them.
Oh. Can
Because
I
it was
marry Baron? I just
because it was like Baron, Lady Autumn, and Eris. And Eris was kind of like this. Because remember how Feyre like gets all upset and he's like shielding her?
yes. Yeah, I do remember that. But
And
I
like
remember
Helion gets all like kind of upset when she gets burned. I'm like, ugh, babies.
he he should be upset. They should all be
Yeah,
upset. That's
they should all be.
super crap.
But here's the thing, like Feyre even says to I think it's the same scene where she's talking to Helion when she's like, "Why didn't you just go get her?" or whatever. Um, Rhys does the same thing. Like, if you look at it, Helion's respecting Lady Autumn's wishes, but like Rhys is also like, "Oh, I can't change Illyria because they're just slow to change. They said they won't." You know?
It's true. I mean, it's
So I
interesting
think
because you
it's just how they are, which is
yeah.
terrible. But I feel like if you're living in Prythian and you're a High Lord and you've lived through all these horrific wars, like you don't need in wars as well.
Well, but like Reese in
But I will
Tamlin
say
about that. Well, Reese didn't
that's why
have a
Reese is like, "Oh, I didn't touch you under your waist because he could have started a war." Like, yeah, right.
oh, he
Anyway,
didn't care. I
he
mean, he
didn't
came
give
and
a
took
shit.
yeah, he came and took Farah from
Yeah.
Breakford.
Doesn't no, he's like, I had to send more because again, if I stepped foot in his court, he could have. I'm like, but then you step foot in his court in Akafath.
I was gonna say you did it anyways, and the war
You
started
did it
regardless,
anyways.
and it was horrific, and everyone suffered because of like
But I
what
will say, Tamlin fought for his woman.
I love it.
And that's why everyone hates him. Cause they're like, he's so stupid, like he's so naive. She doesn't want you. But like it's so obvious like we already know that him and Lucian and like literally everyone outside the Night Court thought Reese was evil and like a mind tormentor and stuff like that. Like it wouldn't make any sense for Tamlin not to try to save her.
but that's exactly like I was
He's a
talking to my
he's a young High Lord, right? So
yeah.
maybe I don't know, but I like Helion, but I do wish he could do something. I just
Yeah.
don't see how he could if Lady Autumn like refused. Because again, her kids, or Eris even.
But also, so that's an interesting point because now her kids are adults, right? Like,
Yeah.
so would Baron still like torture her kids if she were to leave, even though they're adults? Or is there something
He
else that's like
he
keeping
tortures
her,
Eris already
which makes no,
horrifically.
like, why are you torturing Eris? I don't understand that.
I mean, they do call them like the foxes, so I think he does realize that Eris is at the very least more loyal to his mother than to him.
Yeah,
At the very least. Even if he
yeah.
doesn't suspect anything else because he's stupid. Like if Lady Autumn left, I feel like he would just he would try to convince her to come back by doing horrible things to the sons.
To the sons. But the son, like my argument then, right, is like Eris and Lady A should just leave, but I guess they don't want to leave because they're hoping that they're gonna get the court and inherit the Autumn Court and like wait Baron out, maybe? I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean they can't just leave. Like
See, because that's what I would be like if it's so awful and he beats you guys, like, okay, and this is a really deep conversation. Let me say this. Like I'm not attributing this to like real life domestic violence. So I don't
yeah,
want
yeah,
people,
yeah.
you know what I mean? How dare
Yeah.
you say that? Because I know it's gonna happen.
Warning. Trigger
Yeah,
warning.
but there must be something else anchoring them to the Autumn Court, right? Like at this point, like there's got to be something going on.
Well, I can't remember if it's Eris or Lucian that says it, but they basically say that he is a vicious High Lord, meaning that he basically oppresses all of his people. So
Yeah,
it's not just the Sons or just Lady Autumn. Like he kind of rules with like an iron fist, you know?
yeah, yeah.
And I feel like none of the females probably have rights. As we know from again, Eris and more. None of the females have rights. The males are awful because Baron basically just lets them do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why Eris is waiting him out because he said like didn't he say something like the future of the Autumn Court is not like in his hands. I forgot what the exact quote was again. But yeah, but that's why he like wants the bid for Autumn.
Well, yeah, yeah, he did say that. And I find it weird that he is fighting so hard for that bid. Like, who would be the challenger? And plus, like the
The
magic pick.
brothers. Because remember Baron says during the High Lords meeting after the whole antidote thing where Eris is like, I'll take it, and Baron's like, no, you won't. And then he's like, you're not taking anything foreign, whatever. And he's like, though I think your brothers will be very annoyed to hear. Or something like that, like if it went wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Like it'd be so sad, not really.
Yeah.
I but I thought that was really interesting too that Baron was got like protective and very like fatherly over Eris too. Like clearly to me, it was like a little bit of a warm interaction, like you're my son and you will not be taking it. Like he thinks he's gonna be the heir, Eris. And he has no idea that Eris just like
Does he
absolutely
though? Because he had no qualms about saying like if you die from this thing, one of your brothers will take over. Like he didn't give a shit.
yeah.
Yeah, I read that and I was like, he's just like stone cold. He just doesn't care. I think that's probably why he had so many sons.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it is Lucian, I think. It is Lucian who says like he pit us against one another like dogs.
Did he
Isn't it Lucian that says that?
remember that? I don't remember
I'm
that.
almost positive there's like a quote like that where he's like, "Oh yeah, he's a vicious High Lord, like he would pit us against one another like dogs or something." I think he actually enjoys like
Like
who's
see,
gonna be daddy's favorite. It's weird.
You
She
know,
just
but
wants
it
power.
brings about, yeah, it's all about power, but it brings about the idea too of like, I feel like with all of the High Lords and the Fae,
Mhm.
right, like a lot of them, it's like they're all cruel, they're all vicious, like all of the High Lords
They
in the
all have
past,
monsters underneath.
they all have like, in all of their sons and their children have like always said like Reese's dad was awful, Tamlin's dad was awful, Baron. So it just, we don't know anything about Winter or Dawn or anyone else right now.
Well, well, technically, I would assume that Thesen's father was nice, just because Thiessen is completely neutral because he said that um, when his father was High Lord, he took in the people fleeing Zion from the
Oh
Loyalists, remember?
yeah,
And then he
yes,
fell in love with the female from Zion, and then they had Thiessen.
yes,
So
yes.
we know that Thiessen had a good father, at least. We don't know anything about Vivian or Callias's backstory, sadly,
No,
which I would love, aside from like the whole childhood friend thing. But like, who was the High Lord of Winter before Amarantha killed them? Was it his father?
yeah, that's such a good question. I have a feeling too that SJM is gonna give like the Winter Court their own book. I don't know
I would
why.
hope.
I
I would
really
I would even love just a cheesy little like Viv and Cal like friends
act
to
fast.
lovers novella.
Yeah.
Just like their story from like when they were little to when they were friends to like when he got stuck under the mountain and sent her his magic to
I know.
her like just little spoiler, I actually wrote this horrible scene in my fic. But when like she figures out that he gave her the magic for the court and is stuck there, and then just her being like devastated and then realizing she has like this whole court on her shoulders, nobody's going to accept her because she's female. She's
Yep. Yep.
already she's already in a tough position because she's a female general, right?
Right.
He made
Right.
her his general. And
Right.
now she has the whole court. And I can only imagine how like awful people were to her. Because
Oh, I know.
she wasn't his fiance, she wasn't his lover, she was literally just his friend at the time.
I know.
So they
I
had to have like made it hell for her. And that is why I will always be pissed at SJM for not making her the first High Lady.
Oh, I know. And I think that, well, I think
Always.
SJ too
She's
was
like the
kind of
only
like,
one who earned it.
oh, she totally earned it. She's a general. Like she held that court together when he was under the mountain. So
He says
I
it
I
like,
did like that Vivian called out Callias though when she was like, she's a high lady. Like
when are
I
you gonna
love
make me High Lady?
she's really sassy, and Callias just kind of like gave her a look, like, you know what I mean? Like, give me a break. And
If I
I
didn't
like
bring her
that.
to this meeting, she threatened to freeze my balls off.
Yeah, it's so, their dynamic's so funny because like she's such a ball buster, like
Yeah,
literally. And he's like a grumpy sunshine. He's like, but he loves it secretly. You know
he
what I mean?
loves her so much.
Oh,
And just the way that she explained how like he fell to his knees when he came back and he's like, I love you. And I was like, and oh my God, I was so emotional writing that because I did write it for my fic.
uh-huh.
It was so emotional.
Oh, it's, well, it's like it's so sweet. Like, you know, he humbles himself like in front of her. I mean, how is
But
that?
that's why I don't like Feyre's point of view because like even when she's talking about Callias or whatever, she's like that ice cold, rigid exterior gave no emotion or whatever. And then she looks at was it Helion? Oh yeah, Helion. And she's like his icy stare, even colder than Callias's actual ice in his veins or something. Or she was like for a High Lord of Sunshine, he was colder than
Oh my,
Elias, or she's just so fucking dramatic.
Sarah is like number one drama queen. Okay, like she brings the drama, she starts the drama, she like continues the drama when it's all like everyone's just exhausted and done with it. Like,
Did you see that post that someone put on the book lounge page? I don't know if you're a part of that page.
no, but
About
can you see?
so it's when I think it's when Amryn is having Lucian look through like the books and stuff, and he
Okay.
was like I don't know. He was like he was there and Azriel was there, and then like Azriel escorted Elaine to the garden or something like that. It was like with this scene with everyone, and then she goes out onto the porch with Mor. Remember? Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she literally says like the first line of that chapter is, "It was the most uncomfortable 30 minutes of my life." Someone goes, "Farrah, bitch, you literally died." What are you talking about right now?
Okay, but I want to do a whole like 2 videos on Farrah, okay? Because I just like oh, 2 videos of her. I want to go through her actions. I want to talk about her character. I want to talk about Miss Drama because that's who she is.
Into a Reese video because I have a lot to say about him.
Okay. We'll do a
The
Farrah
inconsistency and the evil thing.
and a Reese video. And then a Mor video. Oh, the Mor video is going to be like unhinged.
I love how we just started with like, let's talk about their scents, and then we literally just trailed with whatever the fuck.
That's how
I don't even know what we talked about.
we talked about. Okay, to recap for everyone,
Gillian and Callias and fucking Lucien and yeah.
how they make no sense at all.
No. But I do think Helion and Lady Autumn are mates, and she is just staying there to protect Eris at least.
Yeah,
And the court, maybe.
Yeah. The people of court, maybe.
Yeah. Because he also like Eris said that when he found out about her affair with Helion, like he beat her so badly.
Yeah.
That like she was in bed for like days or weeks, I think. And the only reason he can't do anything about Lucien is that he just literally can't prove whether it was him or Helion. Which, well, I don't know. Because is that why he continues to torment her? Like, so that she'll tell him?
I don't know if that's it, because I mean,
because why would he care? Like, Lucien's already out of his court.
What I'm saying, like, I feel like Lucien to him, but he did bring Lucien up at the High Lords meeting. He's like, "Oh, where's my wayward?
Where's my errant son?
Errant son." So I think Lucien, he bothers him. That's why
the mystery just fucking bothers him, because he's just the type of person who has the ego where like he will not be humiliated. That's why he didn't want Eris to take the thing, just in case of the risks or whatever. And I wanted to see so badly the scene where Tamlin drags him by the neck to the war.
I mean, like, amazing. And also, like, how hot is that on Tamlin's half? Like,
burst into Baron's court with your claws out and drag him by the neck.
And Eris is like eating it up. Like, he's like, hell yeah, this is amazing. Freaking, you know what? I will always support.
It was delightful. I love him.
I love it. Tamlin's awesome. Like, he has the right intentions, and he always right
other thing. Other than Lucien, he has the best moral code.
Absolutely. I truly believe him and Lucien, and possibly Eris, depending on, I mean, he's kind of a little bit more sneaky, but they have the best moral code of every character in ACOTAR.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it's so funny because the fandom has it completely reversed.
Completely flipped. Because they're all fucking snowed by Feyre's rose-colored glasses. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And also, like, I saw something on Reddit, which I was trying to explain, and someone said it better. I was like going over Feyre's actions, because I know you know how I feel Feyre, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But, I was like, her moral compass is just, it's off. And someone's like, yeah, her moral compass is not right. It's not normal. It's like really seriously skewed throughout the entire series.
It's very selfish, is what it is.
And then even in ACOWAR, this is what really pissed me off, is that, like, so Tamlin saves Reese, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes up to that meeting, and she writes him a note, and she's like, "I hope you can be happy." She couldn't even come up to his face and say, "Thank you for saving my mate." Say it to his face. Give me a freaking break.
Like, she waited until after, and then she also played the victim, because she's like, by the time the meeting was over, Tamlin had already left, so I wrote him a note. Like,
Oh,
as if you didn't have time before, during, or when it was ending.
that's what I mean. If someone came and saved my mate, I would be like, I would go up to their face despite what had happened, and I would say, "Thank you." Just the two words, "Thank you so much." She
Hmm.
couldn't even say that.
Couldn't
You
even say
can't.
it. I wish you happiness too.
Uh,
And
yeah,
then,
thanks.
and then her fucking monologue after that
Oh,
grinds my fucking gears because she's like, and
it's
I
the mono-
did mean it. I do hope that he can get over that rotting rage inside of him.
oh. You know what?
I will show you rotting rage, bitch.
I know. I am convinced, and that's why I'm like so passionate about this on our podcast, and I'm so passionate about it on my Instagram pages. Like, I want people to see that the moral compasses on these characters that people are supporting
Flipped.
and are against are completely flipped.
Yeah. Real quickly, I always say real quickly, but real quickly, let's touch on Cormac, Lauren, Rune, and the Avalon Fae. I say Avalon. I know the graphic audio says Avalon, which I hate so much.
Oof.
And also
Yeah.
Cormac's voice, Cormac's fake Scottish accent in the graphic audio, I cringed so bad. It's so bad.
I haven't.
I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't. It was so bad.
I just use my Kindle. I'm like, I like to read on my phone. I can't listen to their.
So I was on my phone on the Kindle reading it, and I was like, "Oh, I should read it along with the graphic audio. That would like make it so much better." And then Cormac came in, and I was like, "What is this voice? No, I want to like him. I'm not listening to this voice."
Wait, I want
Like,
to ask you
"Hello,
something.
cousin." I was like, "Fuck no!" It's so creepy.
No,
Like there's
no.
a woman. It was like, yeah, it was like a woman trying to do like a Scottish man voice. It's so bad. Anyway.
Okay. I also have a question. Is it true that Tamlin, because I haven't listened to any of the graphic audios, has a British voice? Like he's English? Is that right?
Mm-mm.
No, he's not. Okay.
No, none
And
of them do.
no one has an accent, right? Okay.
No. He has, oh, Tamlin has such a good voice, but I think my favorite voice is Lucian every time. I'm just,
I keep hearing that Lucian's voice is like money. Like
it's so
you.
good. It's so good. So good. Actually, Azrael's voice is really on par too, which a lot of people are like, no, they should switch Cassian and Azrael. But no, I love Azrael's voice. It's like smooth, calm. Like, did you hear the one with the Silver Flames clip?
I heard the little clip.
Why aren't you
Azrael,
training, Nesta? I was like, he's such a sweet voice. I love it.
oh, I was like, he is perfection. And then
It's
I heard
perfection.
Cass's voice, and I was like, this is not what I was imagining.
See, that's how I actually like that's how I thought Cassian would sound.
Really?
100%. 100%.
No.
Don't fucking talk about Reese that way. I'm like, off, Jock.
I'm really surprised.
I was like, these are so on point. The only one, the only two that should be flipped 100% are Emery and Gwen. Because
Okay, now
Emery's voice is really high pitched, and
yeah.
Gwen's is really low. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
they should be
Bet.
flipped. Like I know
No.
Gwen is supposed to be mezzo soprano and like have like kind of like a raspy-ish voice, but she just sounds so much older than she is. Like she's only 28 in the series, like actually 28.
Yeah.
She sounds like she's a 40-year-old woman, and I can't. I'm like, you ruined my girl. Why?
I just always imagine Gwen being like very light and girly and like soft spoke, kind of like soft spoken.
Exactly. And that's what they gave to Emery. And I always
I'm
figured Emery like more tougher, stronger. And I'm like, nah, you gotta flip. Flip, 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 flip.
flip
Please.
them.
Flip
You know
'em.
what? I'm gonna have to go listen because Silver Flames was like my favorite book, so I have to go listen to graphic audio.
I stopped the graphic audios because I got to the beginning of ACOWAR and it was just making me mad. I was
Which
like,
part?
I can't listen to this anymore because she's like, oh, I have to sabotage the western border so Highburn can come in and burn them to ashes and blah blah blah. And I was like, I can't deal with you. Oh,
How was Feyre's voice in the graphic audio?
it's very on point.
Is
Very,
it?
very whiny and entitled. I love it. It's perfect.
Oh my gosh. Now I have to go listen to it.
Nesta's perfect. Elaine's perfect.
Really?
Everyone hates Reese's for some reason, but I feel like Reese sounds like the perfect prick.
Really?
I
Is
think
he
it's
like
perfect.
smooth and like, I don't know.
It's
Kind of
like
not.
smooth, but it's very dickish.
Is it really?
Oh, it's perfect.
What are you using to listen to it?
Audible,
Audible.
the graphic audios. So, Silver, no, Crescent City 2 doesn't have graphic audio. Neither did Crescent City 1 yet, which
I'm surprised by that.
annoying. I know. So we had to do the generic white lady one. But that's why I was like, I cannot do her fake Scottish Cormac voice at all. I'm gonna throw up.
Wait, how was Rune's voice?
It's just the white lady doing all of them.
Oh
Because
no,
it's
no,
not
no.
because it's not the graphic audio, it's just a basic one with the one person.
Oh, I want to hear Rune and Hunt because I love
I
them all.
know. That's what I wanted. That's why I bought it, and then I realized it wasn't the graphic audio. And I was like, "Fuck, no, no fake Scottish Cormac." Ugh.
Cormac's not like that. Like Cormac's like a smooth, I think of Cormac
Shocker.
as real. Like I
Yeah.
just think of
Oh, I
know.
know. That's exactly how I was thinking, like a mix of like Azriel and Cassian,
Yeah.
and like ugh, just the the very Scottish accent. That's literally how he sounded. I was stunned.
You're like, what?
Stunned. Hello, cousin. I was like, no.
No.
Absolutely. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. Stop. Absolutely no.
And then how did she do Bryce's voice? I'm just curious.
Oh, hers is just like kind of normal.
Is it normal?
Normal, yeah. And then Hunt's is like this.
Oh.
And like, yeah, it's weird. Runes is a little deep,
Ooh.
but yeah,
I'm
but
gonna listen. I hope they get the graphic
like
audio.
why is Avalon Scottish?
No, they're not Scottish.
Very,
Wait a
very,
second.
very Scottish.
Wait a second. Real quick, isn't there okay, so like I haven't really looked at the map thing, right? Like people talk about the maps a lot, a lot, a lot.
I haven't looked at the Crescent City map. I actually that's a lie. Someone pointed out the other day the map and how it's only the city. It's only Crescent City,
Oh, really?
which I
Oh,
think is suspicious in and of itself.
sneaky, sneaky.
Sneaky,
Like I think that's
sneaky.
very sneaky.
It's only like Fyro and the meat market and like the bone quarter and like all those places that we already know. But like Avalon isn't on the map. The human lands aren't on the map. Like,
I feel like you get all of the books and then you like line them up and it's just like all on the same. It's all on the same.
all of Europe. It's just all of Europe.
Well, that's why I ask you about Avalon, right? Like, so Avalon's Scottish, and then someone was like, then does the Night Court correlate to Scotland on the
Something
map?
like that, yeah. So I think I've talked to the group about this, and we we all figured out what each of the courts in ACOTAR should be, even though it doesn't correlate. So we said that the spring court was English,
Okay.
the autumn court was Scottish, which just Eris with the Scottish accent makes me laugh. Autumn court was Scottish and also Lucian. Winter court was Norse, definitely.
It's like Jamie Fraser.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Winter court was Norse. Day court was Persian / Middle Eastern. Dawn court was like East Asian, and then the night court was Albanian.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And the summer court is Caribbean. Absolutely.
Oh, I could so see that. Absolutely. Like,
And then technically Hybern was the bad Irish. Rar.
that always gets funny to me. Like, I'm like, oh, I realized that they were bad. I don't know.
We're bitches. We're bitches and drunks, okay? Get used to it.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
But small thought.
Hmm.
What if Hybern took over whatever was on Hybern Island before? Because Reese mentions that he like killed everyone there and took over because they were guarding a portal.
Interesting.
And maybe that's how they winnowed all their people, like those huge masses of armies.
Oh,
Right.
interesting theory. I like it. There's something super sus with the King of Hybern to me because I know we kind of talked about it earlier. Like
Like
it
he's
was just
dead, but
like
I feel like he's not like over. It just
I
ended so weird.
it just seemed like almost too easy. Like it wasn't easy because I know that they were like really struggling, and it wasn't until like Baron and Tamlin came that they kind of like got a little bit more.
And Amryn.
Yeah,
Amryn.
and then had to come in and sacrifice herself. But it was a little weird. It was a little weird to me, right?
Well, I said like the single reason he died was because it was Truth Teller. Because as we know, Gwydion and Truth Teller, the sword and the blade, their Truth Teller is a cauldron blessed made weapon, which they didn't know. By Asriel's reaction at the end of Sky and Breath, where he's like, oh, just drops it on the.
I'm so excited to finish that book. Like I'm excited.
I cheated. I cheated. I'm only
Well,
on
I
chapter am I on 18, I think.
oh, you're on chapter 18. I have to check and see where I am. I'm at the point, like I'm at the part where they like were with the humans and their suits or whatever. So I don't remember
Okay.
quite which.
I'm a little past that, so I'm at the point where Cormac is being a super dick, which I got annoyed because I want to like him. I know that he's not actually a dick. So I actually pointed out on Instagram. Yeah, Instagram, I put like a part I think where he was being like a super dick and I was like, so he's the heiress of Crescent City because he's not actually a dick. He's pretending to be a dick because he was like, Bryce was like, I think he actually loved Sophie. Like, I can tell that he like actually loved her, or he's just a very good actor. So
I
I
think
got,
what
yeah,
would you say?
I think he loves her, loved
Oh,
her.
he
Um,
totally did.
at this point in the story where I am, they just found out that Sophie might not be dead. Spoiler alert.
Wait, what?
My bad. Spoiling everything over here. Tharian, right? Yeah, Tharian has an order from the River Queen to retain her body for her powers or something. She won't tell him why. And him being her employer, he has to do it. So he goes in like this submarine. Oh, I can't talk today. Submarine, and they like go all the way down to like where her body would be or whatever, and like the lead blocks are there, but the locks are unlocked and there's no body. So he's like, she was a Veneer because she made the drop illegally. So she had done the drop. She was a Thunderbird. He's like, technically, I guess she could have survived long enough to undo the locks and like get herself free. So right now they're like trying to track her down. Like, where is she? Or where's the brother? Is she actually dead or whatever? Did you get to the Danica part where I go, of course it's fucking Danica?
I read it in your text message. I haven't gotten to that part in the book though.
Yeah, so Tharian is going through Sophie's emails and she has like
What?
all these emails with like Banshee Lover 13 or 23 or something like that. And he traces it back to Danica Fendir.
Of course he does, because
Of
Danica's like
course. Yeah.
ever.
Yeah, and Sarah J. I just want to say something. Sarah J. Maas and her fucking riddles. I'm getting so annoyed. I thought it was gonna be as easy as the Amarantha one, and I'm getting really annoyed trying to figure out this riddle.
It's a good one. I did read the riddle. I read the riddle.
Oh, where the weary souls rest.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're like, oh, the bone quarter, and I was like, that's too easy. It ain't the bone quarter.
That's what I thought. I was like, oh, go over there.
Actually, what if it's Prithian? It's hell.
Do you know that someone else online said that? I saw that on our
Really?
Reddit. You're the second
Well,
person
I think I
that.
told you. I think I told you last time. I don't know if it was in the part that we filmed. But remember how I said, what if Prithian is actually Limbo?
Yeah. That theory messed me up for like a solid days. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I was like,
What if everyone in Prithian is just dead, and then the people who die are just being sorted either into heaven or hell?
that
Even City is the entrance to hell.
it really fucked me up. I was like, my gosh, like they're all just waiting to figure out the afterlife, like where their souls are going. It's
Exactly.
really, it's really kind of scary.
And they're just like reliving the paths to how they died or whatever. Or the
Oh,
PTSD of how they died. Like Farah under the mountain died, right? The girls with the cauldron died. Reese in war died.
well, when you think about it, and I know that we had this very long conversation, everyone that's on Prithian had their ordeal or something similar to it, like a really
Mhm.
devastating event. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was like limbo and it's there's and they're trying to
Yeah,
figure everything.
but
But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be.
it could be. I don't think it is because it would just be too complex if you were to look at it like that. But I mean it's possible that could be
Possible, I
where the
guess.
souls get rest. I mean that's kind of like a weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it weird that they didn't tell us what Rune and Cormac's scents are.
I find it weird too.
The
I find it
scent.
very interesting. We have everyone else but Rune and Cormac. Do we know Hunts? We know
We know
Bryce.
Bryce's, we know the Autumn Kings, we know Embers. Like Embers, we know Embers.
We know out of everyone, we know Embers and we don't know Runes. We don't give me freaking break, people. That's because we all know the answer to why
Because
we
the
don't know.
Autumn King isn't his dad.
And we know who his mom is related to. I'm telling you.
It's
Why?
gonna be,
Why?
it's gonna be, it's gonna be Citrus and Lilac.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah, it is. We're
Because Hunt is Rain and Cedar, which is also kind of like Tamlin, which is weird.
it is like Tamlin. So it's like the whole scent thing. It still doesn't quite like make sense to me, right? Like it's really confusing because they're all like
They're
they eat
all
from someone else, but what's the
yeah.
connection?
Unless SJM is just like thinking them up on the fly.
I was gonna say, unless there's no connection, it's completely random and we're thinking way too into it, and that's possible.
But just the way that Moore and Reese and Lauren all have citrus, that can't be a coincidence.
It has to be like I swear it has to be like familial lines or power lines like Starborn power because Feyre and like Bryce and Tamlin all have lilac. Like to
Yeah.
me, that's really right.
Yeah. Well, Azriel's was what, Mist and
I'd have to go look. I don't
Mist and
remember.
something,
Yeah, yeah. His was
which is
his
weird.
was um.
Unusual.
It's gotta be yeah. It's either like they're either family lines or like power. I don't know.
It's so weird.
So bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. But see, Cormac's shadows are exactly like Azriel's. Like he's a shadow singer.
I need to go read more.
He's
I'm
a
gonna be reading.
shadow singer. Like when he comes into Rune's apartment, it's just a door of shadow. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? Like the people at the party, and he just steps through all regal and everything. It's like, yes. And then they're like, hovering by his shoulders and all that stuff, like Azriel. Whereas Runes is like Reese's shadows. he can wield them whenever he wants, but he really doesn't often. And it's
Yeah.
not like they like hang out around him all the time.
See, it's even more evidence. Okay, there has to be, to me, it's a Rune Reese family,
Yeah.
family, because their powers are similar. But I
Yeah.
find it Cormac and Azrael's powers are
Yeah.
very similar.
I think they're two like they're cousins. Like the two
They
lines are cousins. Like somewhere along the line, someone mated with someone, had a bunch of kids, blah 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 blah, cousins.
yeah,
All right. I believe we left off talking about Lauren and how she is equated to Rune and Reese. Um, we mentioned that I believe we left off where we were talking about her and Rune when Rune visited her at her spring themed villa, and how it was weird that she had no personal photos or possessions of his.
yeah.
Do you have any like guesses as to why that would be true? I have like one really out there kind of guess, but
I've been thinking about that a lot, and I want to hear what your guess is too. Mine's a little bit out there as well. Um, so I have two things that immediately come to mind. My first is that like the Illyrian women, right, like raised in a war camp, that they don't put up, like it's not a very like warm and friendly
mine's kind of
environment.
along that line, sort of.
Yeah. And so I was like, I don't think they probably take pictures or have anything like really like his artwork or
Yeah.
anything on their walls, right? Because they're raised in a war
Because like
camp. So
Illyrians are bred to be expendable or whatever, right?
yeah. So they don't place like emphasis on anything like that.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. Is that kind of what you were thinking too?
In a way. So if like we think she is Reese's little sister, right? We basically know that the father wouldn't care for having a daughter. I mean, he didn't even like when his wife flew around, so there's that. But we know that Reese was always the heir. He was trained as the heir. His father like put him in the war camps and did all this stuff. So I'm thinking that like she didn't have like the special attention that the heir had, right?
Yeah. Right.
And sort of like in their household, since we know their father was a douchebag, like only the heir could be like presented with like an award or like, some like a good job here and there, right? Because he wouldn't,
Right.
again, he wouldn't like having a daughter, so he wouldn't really care. And the mother was Illyrian, as you said. So she probably wasn't, you know,
Posting up
taking
all
all
her
these
stuff.
taking all these
Yeah.
little things, right?
Right.
But if the daughter was also a painter like Feyre, that makes me think that her paintings were never put up because doesn't Rune specifically say like drawings from when he was a kid and stuff
Brings
too?
it up the bonus chapter.
Um, but I think going by like how she was raised, I think she knew that Rune wasn't the heir because of Bryce. Like she met Bryce, right?
Yeah.
But because Bryce is the heir, she like doesn't put anything up for Rune because she's like, you're not actually the special one. Like, right? Like, which sounds harsh, but that's how she was raised. And I think just this whole ordeal of being where she is right now, as we know, she's like super subdued now, which I don't think she would have been with Tamlin.
No.
I think she's just been kind of broken down after all these like centuries. And she's just like, well, also, we never know when we're going to be going back to our world, so I'm not going to put all this stuff up.
Yeah. No, I think you bring up a good point. Like to her, I think she thinks this is still temporary, even though she's been there for like hundreds of years, or
Yeah.
how long she's been there. I think she's like, I want to be ready to get up and leave and go back to Tamlin at any point. So I'm not going to put all my stuff all over the house.
Well, also, not for nothing, but in regards to pictures, like we know that Prythian doesn't have technology like that.
Yeah, so she, but she's been in Midgard for a while, so she would have learned.
Kind of been in solitary. Like she doesn't like venture out. She doesn't do things for herself. We know that she still has no idea about technology because she wouldn't even like try with her air conditioner.
she wouldn't call anyone to come and fix it. That's actually a very good point. So she's still kind of behind the times and old
Yeah.
fashioned.
Yeah. I think she
That's
has
a
no idea like what any of that stuff is. Like it's like giving your great grandmother an iPhone. Like they're not going to have any idea what to do with it. And more times than not, they're not going to want to.
no, no, they're definitely not. I really like that. I actually think that makes a lot of sense as to why she didn't put anything up. Um, and then something else I was thinking about, which I'm not quite as positive about it as I would be, is maybe she didn't put pictures of herself up or around the house because she doesn't want the Asteri or someone to recognize her or to see who she is because they might know.
Yeah. I don't, but see, I think it's funny that Rune says that because as far as we know, he doesn't put anything personal up either.
No, I mean he basically frat house and the most personal thing he has is like his pool table and there's beer everywhere
The
and
Star Sword.
what he carries around with him. I mean, there's maybe a couple more personal touches than what his mom has. But
I thought it said that he had like one picture of, wasn't it like Bryce when she was little, like at the ballet or something? Or was it
I don't
something, or was it, oh, it was something she drew, right? Like, didn't she draw herself like putting pigtails in his hair or something?
I think with him or something. It was something along those lines.
Yeah, I thought that was cute, but yeah, because he's probably like, I never had anything put up for me, and she couldn't because my father is a douche and all this stuff, father.
Yeah, father.
Father.
That's quite so.
But yeah, I just think it's both her half Illyrian side and their High Lord father's side because he was awful and he probably didn't care about her either.
Yeah,
And just by her thinking like it's useless, right?
yeah. Like it is
Like I
useless.
can see you in person. Why am I gonna put up stuff of yours? Like just come visit me.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense to do that.
Yeah.
Also, if she was a painter too, maybe it hurts her like emotionally
Yeah.
to put something up. Maybe she can't bring herself to paint or to make
Mhm.
something warm because
Yeah.
it reminds her of Spring Court and Tamlin. I don't know, or home, just being
Yeah.
with Reed.
Yeah.
Possible.
Possible. I don't know.
Very.
I start to wonder like, is Rune a good artist? Because there's a reason he's pressed that she never put up his artwork.
I love. I love. Oh, that's so sweet.
Like, did he take after her?
He is like, I have to say, I love Rune. He's one of my favorite characters because like he puts off this really like badass persona. He's got
But he's
tattoos.
he's a total mushball. I love
Oh,
it.
he is a total mushball. He loves his sister
Yeah.
so much.
It's
He's
so
just
cute.
sweetest. He's such a good guy.
I know. I know. I don't know. I just
Pull him off. I'm gonna
I have to say, like, he is not what I thought he was gonna be from like the stuff on Instagram.
really.
Because all the stuff I saw on Instagram was like, oh, he just smokes all the time and he has sex all the time and he's a rebel and he has all these tattoos and like the classic like bad boy shit. So I was like, oh, okay, Bryce isn't that close to him then because he's probably a dick. And
Yeah.
then like I read it and I was like, oh, he's cute. I was like,
He's sweet. Like he's pissed about his artwork not being on the wall. I mean, come on.
I didn't even know that people did that until I went to my friend's house. First of all, which friend? Because Lord Hawthorne was not putting up fucking artwork. I can tell you right now. But yeah, I mean, I just that's basically what I think about that.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. It's a little bit weird. You don't see that in other like because even when you think about Reese and you think about Tamlin back home in Prithian, they have galleries. They have artwork everywhere. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a weird little fact about her.
Yeah. And it's just weird because when, spoiler, obviously, but when
Yeah.
Bryce goes to Prithian and she like looks around the river house and everything, she's like, this could be like my father's study or Jessica's gallery, library. And I just found that funny because it's like if Einar has all this stuff, he doesn't care about like anyone but his experiments. He's not putting up anything personal either. You know?
Yeah. I think they're all like, I'm ready at any minute to dip out.
Yeah.
I don't
He confuses me. Not only because of his whole experiment thing and obsession with the Starborn thing and the worlds thing, which again kind of mirrors Meryl from ACOTAR, who I think was originally from Midgard and did whatever Bryce did at some point, but that's another thing. But because like 1 minute he literally couldn't give two shits about Bryce, and then the next minute he's like all worried about her, and I'm like, pick a side.
yeah. It's kind of like you get like whiplash from him, right?
Total whiplash. I get so confused.
I know. I actually love his character. He's one of my favorites because I think that
He's
one
truly morally gray.
he's truly morally great, but also like I kind of feel like he's doing a lot of things behind the scenes that like
Yeah.
don't out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm crazy, but like I think he's actually good. Like I think he's good. I think there's a reason maybe he pushed Bryce away because he
Like
came to the
like an heiress kind of.
like maybe yeah, kind of like a Baron Eris type
The
thing.
the only thing that I really can't get over from him is that he literally like scarred Rune as a kid.
He abused him. Yeah.
Because like other than that, like he would have been truly like morally gray. Like you could say like, oh, he doesn't care just because his words are awful, but then like his actions were different. But it depends on the scene. Like he didn't show up for Bryce during June's ballet, and they were like all the Fae there or whatever, right? And but then like in CC1, he's like, you're more like me than you think. And he just seemed like concerned about her for some reason. And I mean, I guess you could explain it by saying like he's only concerned about her power.
Yeah. Yeah. Um
But
because
but him, I'm gonna say something random, but when he was watching Bryce do the drop, right?
yeah.
He, I don't know, it seemed to me that he was actually genuinely worried.
I that's how I felt. That's how I felt that
Because he
entire
was
scene.
like, she's not gonna come back. She's not gonna come back. It's impossible. You can't be anchored to a dead person. Like she's gone. She's dead. Like I found like he was kind of freaking out.
He was very upset. I think he loves Bryce. I mean, but
Well,
then
he
you look back
loved Ember.
that he and he's still I
Everybody
think
loved Ember. He still
I,
loved Ember.
he's obsessed with Ember. And he said to Bryce on multiple occasions through Crescent City 1, Crescent City 2, he apologized to Ember and he
Yeah.
made a mistake.
Yeah.
Bryce, I messed up. I shouldn't have done that. Like he knows he messed up.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
regrets shows regret and remorse for what he did to Ember.
And I know everyone is gonna say, oh, like Tamlin, it doesn't matter if you say sorry. You hurt them. But
It totally
but see, here's the thing. With Tamlin, we know that him blowing up was an accident. He didn't plan it or anything. With the Autumn King, we don't really have any context. Except Ember's, which again reminds me of Feyre, because she's like, he just like, there's a gash in my cheek, like she has a scar or something, right? On her cheek. But like, was it like an explosion of magic like Tamlin? Because that's the vibe it was giving me.
Yep. Me too. It was the same vibe. And maybe she was, I mean, like I said, we don't know the context. Maybe
Yeah.
she was a little not impulsive, but when she ran.
They were both like 18, 19 with these
Super
older Fae too.
Super young. Yep.
See, if Ember was also human, like Feyre was in the first ACOTAR book, like they don't know how the Fae really operate. They have no idea about like the strength of their magic, what it can do. And I will stand my ground on this. I say this all the freaking time, and people have argued with me, but there is a difference between purposely abusing someone and the fey magic literally just exploding.
There's an absolute difference.
Because one is intent, two is, is it purposeful? Are you whatever? And then three, in terms of control, because everyone's like, well, they're 500 something years old, they should learn to control it. Lucian says all through ACOTAR, they are a different breed. The High Lords, the kings, I would assume, like in Crescent City, they are a literal different breed of fae.
Yeah. Well, and absolutely. I think too.
He's like, they are power. So it's not
problem in the fandom though.
It's a huge problem in the fandom because it's not control. Like, I'm trying to figure out like the best way to
describe it.
Explain this. Yeah. Because I know that you get me, but some people won't understand. But like, I feel like their magic is very, very tied to their emotions.
Yes.
So Tamlin blowing up like that, he has no control over. Like, unless he's like not allowed to feel any of his emotions at all, which isn't fair.
How?
At all. It equates to Rhys, because everyone will point out fucking Tamlin exploding, right? And accidentally hurting Feyre. But when Rhys gets mad, he plunges whole rooms into darkness. He makes them freezing cold. He gets like icy glares. Like, he looks evil when he's mad.
It's is it Kair's arm?
Here?
He like broke all of the bones because he looked at Feyre wrong, right?
Yeah. Like, I don't think they have that control, because basically they are just a humanoid form of magic.
Yeah.
It's not that they control the powers, really. It's more of the powers manifesting within them and then coming out during their own emotions. Again, if that makes sense.
Well, I can't imagine. I mean, like, how hard would that be to wrangle that in? They don't have the power if their magic
is that during the High Lords meeting. None of them can control their powers there when they're mad or upset or excited or whatever. None of them.
They're all, and you know what, when you look at each High Lord, they're all volatile. They all have to be cruel and calculating.
Like the monster underneath. Like, Lucian says they're a different breed.
Yes, and they are because they're the High Lord, you guys. That's like the whole point. Like, someone has to say, right?
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of people bring up, when I've brought this up, like, well, Eris can control his fire while Azriel can control his shadows. Like, they're not High Lords. Like, Eris might be the heir, right? Or, well, that's a little
potentially. We don't
potentially, yeah. But that's completely different. He's not a High Lord yet. Azriel, the reason Rhys and Feyre got so pissed at him during the meeting, out of everyone, is because he does have control, and he chose to strangle Eris, right? It's not like he had no control, because out of everyone, I think Azriel has the most control, and like, they know that. And just a little tidbit, but it really pissed me off when Feyre was like, come Azriel, come sit next to me. I was like, is he a fucking dog?
I thought the same thing. She like patted the chair beside her, and
come Azriel.
I was kind of degrading Azriel. Like, Azriel doesn't have to answer like a dog to you.
Yeah.
Feyre. It's ridiculous.
But anyways, yeah, people are always like, well, Einar's Tamlin, because they both like blew up and they both abused them and blah 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 blah. But I'm like, we don't know the context with Ember, and honestly, I think it was more of a Tamlin situation where he was angry about something and it blew up, accidentally hit her, and as he said, like, I apologized, I loved her, like, that's why he like went after her.
He chased her down,
like Tamlin. even though it was a little different with Tamlin because he literally thought that Rhys was like a tormentor and stuff, so that's a little different. But like they both apologized that neither of them really meant it, I don't think.
No.
And both Ember and Feyre were young, naive. They didn't know how the world of the Fae worked, how their magic worked, you know.
Yeah.
I do love I do love the part in the High Lords meeting when Feyre explodes. So much.
Why? Why? Because it
Because
just shows how strength.
it proved to her that you can't control when your magic explodes.
See, I would have liked that scene had she then reflected on what she did and was like, oh shit, I lost control of my power. Kind of like what Tamlin did. So that must be what Tamlin feels like. And then like connected the dots, but she never did that. She never.
That's because Rhys was there.
I don't know. See, I blame Feyre. I think Feyre is kind of a hot-headed, impulsive.
Oh, she is. She definitely
Girl.
is.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you burned Lady Autumn, and I don't think she ever even apologized, by the way.
Never apologize. Like out of everyone in that room that you burn, you pick Lady A. Are you kidding me?
Well, it was aimed toward
Baron.
Baron, but it hit Eris and Lady Autumn, which also a little tidbit because my brain can't stop thinking of things. But Eris didn't even flinch, neither did Lady Autumn, and that little sentence really hit me.
It's really sad.
Like
It's really
they're
sad.
so used to what being burned and lashed that it doesn't, one little blast of fire doesn't even affect them.
Yeah,
It's
they're so.
their skin.
Oh yeah, I know. To have that, it's just so sad because they must be living in like pure hell.
I just,
You know.
I don't know. I love Eris at that meeting so much. But again, we'll get into a meeting in another video in depth because I can't go on a tangent right now. But yeah, I think we don't have the context with Ember and Aenar. And I do kind of understand because she was pregnant and she was probably thinking, I don't want him to hurt my kid, or because she was young.
Yeah, and like her mama bear came out maybe, and she got really protective. And
I did find it funny that we find out Bryce was like 3 and she blasted his soldiers with starborn power, and that's why they never came back.
I know.
Funny.
She's so cute. I really like Bryce's character. I don't know. I mean, because I think that she's so relatable, more so than Feyre and Aelin. I mean, Feyre was really cool to me in book 1. I loved her. She provided for. She was a girl boss. Like, I don't feel that way later in the books, but she was initially. And Aelin was kind of cool. But Bryce,
she's modern. Really, I think that's the thing.
She's so modern, and she was like, this crazy party girl, but like she's really quite smart. She's pretty brilliant.
She was like, why do you think I played the party girl to lie low and all this stuff? And I was like, oh, you smarty.
And I love when she went to the nail salon with Hunt, and he's like, Bryce, get the fuck back to your apartment. We have work to do. And she comes out and she's like, I found out this, and this from talking to this girl, getting my nails done. She's brilliant.
Yeah, it was funny. Oh, well, she happens to be the girlfriend of what's his face, and blah, 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 blah. And I realized that she works on These Days. I was like, girl.
And do all of that. Let's go find info there. I mean, she's so smart.
Yeah.
Bryce is amazing. So
I had no idea what I was getting into, really. I mean, I did, but I didn't, like, specifically with the characters of Crescent City. I did think that Bryce was gonna annoy me just because the whole party girl thing, and I was like,
yeah.
But yeah. I do love that she was like actually smart underneath that. And Sarah J. Maas has a habit of having almost all of her characters wear a mask. And I think it's kind of sad that not one of them can be their actual selves because of the worlds they're living in.
Like no one's really genuine until you get to know them, which is awful.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. Which is why I love that scene in Akasif so much with Cassian and Eris, because even to me, like Cassian's kind of like the himbo. Like he's kind of basic. But
I
like
mean,
I was like, he is drinking the smart water today because I just fucking love that scene when he's like, you know, Eris, I think you might just be a good male trapped in a bad situation. And I was like, that is really insightful for once, Cassie.
yeah. Well, it's
Out
amazing.
of everyone. Out of everyone, yeah. I loved that. Um, I'm not gonna go too far into Nessian right now because again, that's another video, but
Yeah.
I do think that's kind of a nod to maybe a future blessing, like to be with Nesta, maybe.
I hate that theory. I hate that theory. It's not that
But it like
I love,
makes sense because like the whole book, like Cassian hated Eris, hated Eris, hated Eris, hated Eris. Not as much as Azrael, I don't think, but they were still
yeah.
whatever. And then uh, I don't know, Cassian was somehow super insightful during all of these interactions, and then he was like, I don't actually think you're a bad male. You know, you could be a good guy. And I was like, that's out of left field.
That's what I love about Cassian though, is he has these moments where his character is so amazing. Like, and he was the same way in Aquar when he was telling Nesta he would find her. He can be so emotionally intelligent, and they're all
It's
brilliant.
so rare though. I'm sorry, but it's so rare. Like he's just a gym bro 99% of the time, and I don't like that because she has shown that he can be a better character.
Oh, he's
And she
absolute. I think
doesn't there's like it's just here and there, and I can't stand that.
I do wish that she had shown that more in Silver Flames because I'm in love with Cassian and everything. And initially I was like, Silver Flames is perfection. You can't tell me wrong. But then I listened to your theory and some of Cassian's actions and it
Mm-hmm.
changed my mind slightly.
Rereads are like tough because you're like, this is actually very fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like almost as bad as Reese Under the Mountain. And again, we shouldn't get into Nessian right now. That's a whole other video.
Right.
But
That's a whole other.
yeah, we will do a video about that at some point
Yeah.
after this whole theory series.
Yeah.
But going back to Lauren and all of that stuff, I know we kind of branched off into Einar and Bryce and whatever. But I do think these are all mirrors of each other because again, we have Einar and Ember and Bryce, and then we have Reese and we have his evil father and we have Lauren, and it's just they're like all mirrors of each other.
Yeah. It's very mirror like and it's very like Fey male, right? We keep seeing these themes of these
Mm-hmm.
super dominant Fey men, these women that are
Yeah.
killed or whatever, something horrible happens.
Tamlin's father with Tamlin's mother, Baron with Lady Autumn.
Yeah.
Oh, even the children too. So
Yeah.
Tamlin's father with his mother and him and his brothers, Baron with Lady Autumn and Eris and Lucian. Awful. And then we don't know the Autumn King's family, but
No.
I don't know. But I'm assuming he was raised that tough too because he's this tough on Rune and Bryce.
Yeah.
I think
But
yeah.
shows moments of warmth and kindness compared to the others. I mean, like they're, and that's a whole other. We're gonna do a Crescent City video and series, but
yeah. But see, the thing that I think is cute is SJM kind of obviously alludes to the fact that Reese was kind of close with his sister. I mean, the way he talked about her, at least, and the way that he like tries to avenge her or whatever. He doesn't really he didn't really mention any specific memories or anything with her, which I thought was weird because he does with his mother.
yeah.
But he does say she was a couple centuries younger than him and he was dealing with the Illyrians and all that. So maybe he honestly just didn't get a chance to kind
It's
of get to know his sister to that level, which is why I think they're doing the whole Rune and Bryce thing. So that
diving.
Lauren's son, hmm so that Lauren's son could have a good relationship with her brother, even though if they're technically cousins, they're still kind of family. I don't think he would stop seeing her as a sister, even if they're not brother sister. They're still
Oh no.
brother sister. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
at this point, like even if they're cousins, they're still brother and sister. It doesn't matter biological, right?
Absolutely. If they're cousins or if they're half siblings or
Yeah.
whatever they end up actually being. I mean, their sibling love is like very pure and also.
As I told you, I like skipped to the end of Crescent City, but I was looking up something specific on my phone on the Kindle app, and I was like, I'm just gonna jump to the last chapter because I technically know how it ends. And boy, just that scene with Rune and Price. I was like, this is so emotional.
It breaks
Long
your
live the queen! Oh,
I know. I think everyone was just like bawling tears.
I
They
wish
love
I could bawl. I wish I could bawl. I'm like so not emotional like that. Like
you
I
down.
can feel it on the inside, but I'm like fucking Reese. Like I'm just stone cold.
I hope, and I think in Crescent City 3 we're gonna find out a lot, like we've talked about Reese and that Lauren, because why introduce Lauren in the bonus chapter if she's not gonna play a part or play a role, right? I think this it just comes back to our connected crossover theory and
Yeah.
what happened that day.
So going back to ACOTAR hints, because remember how we found two more
Yes, we did.
in these last couple days that we wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Not to go backward, but there have been some other things that came up that are pertinent to our theory that we would like to add. And one of them has to do with Lauren having been in the Spring Court, as we have mentioned a million times, and being Tamlin's lover and having, snuck over there at some point or another. And I wonder if he um I don't know, I wonder if they had like like secret sleepovers or something. And
I
because
can
I mean, we know Tamlin is good at glamours. We know that like Reese as a High Lord, because people have fought me on this too, he can't recognize Tamlin's glamours. And I think we might have gone over this before, I'm not sure.
talk a bit about it, yeah.
Yeah, I think like I think Tamlin's magic is still so familial to him that it's kind of like going like nose blind, right?
Yeah.
And that's why in the dining room scene he didn't know that Feyre was glamored until he saw her place setting, and then he actually went sniffing around, and then
Yeah.
he was pissed.
Yeah.
But like Tamlin could have glamored her at any point. He was canonically stronger than his father, which I think it's because of the Starborn power. So he could have easily, snowed his father and brothers up to a point.
Totally. Totally. Or they could have had secret meetings, like we know, of course.
So, I forget her name. There was a girl on Facebook that mentioned that Tamlin had night court clothes
When you told me this, I freaked out because I
in
love it.
the manor. And I had to go back and comb through the books on my Kindle, and she was right. And this is
Right.
something that I never caught, and I highlighted all of it.
I caught it on my reread, did not catch.
I was like, you were brilliant. This is something I didn't catch. And I hate that I forget her name. I thought that I screenshotted it, but I don't think I did. But I was like, I have to go back and like look at books now. So I highlighted all of the points where Feyre could have been wearing Lauren's old clothes that she left either in
Yeah.
Tamlin's room or whatever. And I know people are going to say this is so far-fetched, and colors are just colors and blah 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 blah, but like it's not though.
Well, when
Because
you talk,
Tamlin, because they wear like pastels, other than Lucian wearing silver, which I think was probably from the Autumn Court. Like green is a spring court color, pink is a spring court color, yellow, gold, like all of this stuff. Like they never wear dark colors.
no, no, not dark and rich, not dark rich
No,
colors.
no.
If they're purple, they wear lilac, right? We see that
Lilac, lavender, yeah.
lilac. That's a huge theme
The
in all
lilac thing. We'll get into the lilac thing.
the lilac theory. Everywhere. Look it up. It's everywhere.
But anyway, I pulled up the quotes
Okay, let's hear it.
because I come with receipts for all of y'all. All right, so this is the first one in ACOTAR when Feyre gets to the Spring Manor and Alice is trying to get her to wear a dress and she wants to wear pants.
One of my favorites.
Will you wear the dress now? Alice demanded. I knew I should get up, should agree, but I slumped farther into my seat. Alice stared me down for a moment before leaving again. She returned with trousers and a tunic that fit me well, both of them rich with color. A bit fancy, but I didn't complain when I donned the white shirt, nor when I buttoned the dark blue tunic and ran my hands over the scratchy golden thread embroidered on the lapels. Was that like an insignia of some point? At some point, and like maybe her hair covered it.
Yep. I think it was.
I think it was. I just thought of this, but is that the room that Tamlin has closed off? Is that like a not a tomb, but is that like his memory room?
Lauren's room or a memory room? Yeah.
Because the only thing he couldn't move was the mural on the gallery wall because it was literally on the wall.
Yeah, but that was closed off when she first got to the court too. He closes off the rooms that have pain memories associated to them.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it wasn't a room, it was like a wing, right? It was a wing of the house.
It was like an entire.
Yeah. So I think it was like the room that reminds him of Lauren, or the room that like Amarantha could have assaulted him in, or something like that, The obviously his parents' room that they were like slaughtered in because
right.
Gross.
No one wants there.
Yeah, no. But anyways, yeah, I thought that was cool. But there's more than just this one. Oh no. There is more than just this one.
What's the second one?
When I said receipts plural, I meant it. This is later on in ACOTAR. She's basically asking Alice, like, what is this place? Where is this place? Whatever. And she says, I dug into my breakfast, savoring each rich sip of tea, and she slipped into the bathing chamber. I think that was Alice or the other maid. When I was done eating and bathing, I refused Alice's offer, a dress again, and dressed myself in another exquisite tunic, this one of a purple so deep it could have been black.
Where have we heard that before?
I wished I knew the name for the color, but cataloged it anyway.
Purple so deep. Okay, Spring Court doesn't have
so deep. It's a black. Doesn't Rhys have a jacket like that?
Well, that, but also remember when I think it was in Silver Flames or it was in ACOFAS when they go into that one woman's shop, right? And she is making, her husband had just died.
The void.
Right? So maybe reminds me of that scene, that color.
Yeah.
Just not in the Spring Court, right? So it's that's a outfit.
And don't we get a scene of, is it Feyre or Nesta or Rhys? I can't remember, but it's like a shop like the thread or something shop. I forget the actual
Yeah,
name of it,
yeah,
where like they go in and there's literally all these rich colors and threads of all
every
different like bold colors.
yeah. It's that woman. She was high fae. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then there was a palace of thread and jewels that Reese went to.
That's what it, yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So he went and he got a gift for Feyre
Yeah.
um from that.
Hmm.
Uh I remember him reading about that. So anyways, interesting outfits that they picked out for her from the spring court.
There's one more scene.
Let's hear it.
Um, it's more of a tiny little tidbit on Tamlin's side
Okay.
because I thought it was a little odd. It kind of reminded me of someone with PTSD kind of going through a flash.
Mhm.
So this one, the context is that he is getting ready for Calanmai.
Okay.
Um, and obviously he's told Feyre, don't leave your room. Lucien has told Feyre, don't leave your room. He's like getting ready, and she's asking him about the drums and all of that. And then we get to the end of the scene, and yeah, he's like, go to your chamber, and she's like, why? And that all happens. And then it says, um, his canines began to lengthen. My heart leaped into a gallop. Don't come out until morning. Stronger, faster, the drums beat, and the muscles in Tamlin's neck quivered as if standing still were somehow painful to him. So he's being intoxicated by magic, right?
I'm
And we don't know how that can affect his like mental health,
mem-
right? Memory, mental health. Are you going into battle? I whispered, and he let out a breathy laugh. Then he lifted a hand as if to touch my arm, but he lowered it before his fingers could graze the fabric of my tunic. Just stay in your chamber, Feyre. But please. Before I could ask him to reconsider bringing me along, he took off running. Um, Muscles in his back, blah, 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 blah. And then Brian Swift is a stag, which that's another thing we have to go over the whole stag thing
bag.
between all the series because it's blatant at this point. And then within seconds, he was gone. But if you're going to be like, and then you don't touch something, is that like, that like, is she wearing one of Lauren's tunics?
Yeah. Well, it was like it's like muscle memory, right? Like
That
he
tunic.
used to just like rub his hand or on Lauren's arm or something like that, and then he stopped himself because he's like, oh, this isn't Lauren. That
Yeah.
tunic's memories, the magic's bringing up memories, bringing up the past. Totally.
I I actually I'm not going to delve too far into deep detail with this again, but um we've talked about my fanfic, but I have there's two prequels for my fanfic. So the second one is actually Tamlin and Lauren's story, but she's named Nova in my fic.
It's
And
really good.
and the first time they are intimate, let's say, is on Calanmai, even though his father is the High Lord. He's very intoxicated with magic, and she's very rebellious, and that's kind of a thing. Um, and now I'm going to write that with her in this tunic because now I have to.
I love it. I'm so excited because I think that if our Lauren Tamlin theory makes sense, and I can't wait to see you write that with her and her tunic, and
Mhm.
maybe how maybe you could add like how she left her clothes at Tamlin's manor or something, like forgot them there, or like have brought a second change of clothes and stuff.
Yeah, and
But
then she just like died, and he just like keeps them
yeah,
like died. I say died. People think she's dead. Um, which goes into the next thing, but kind of like the children's books. Haha.
oh, plug.
Which I think they were also hiding until the father died, but she wasn't there anymore,
Yeah,
sadly.
yeah,
Which is very sad.
yes.
Which is very sad. But I going into that I just said, I need to pull it up real quick. Um, Everyone thinks she's dead, right?
I know we had a debate online over the
On
past couple days.
Facebook, people were pissed. I'm like,
You
why
don't
are you?
there's no need to get mad. We're just pointing out a quote and offering a different perspective on it.
So, to all of you listening or watching or whatever you're doing, I found during my 10th reread, I found a quote in ACOWAR that has to do with Elain. And I wanted to read it to you. And then I'm going to clarify some things, or at least kind of go back and forth with the arguments that I got online. So I'm going to read this to you real quick. This is after they come back with the Book of Breathings, and they were kind of arguing with Amren. And because Rhys was afraid of Amren in that moment, or Feyre and Rhys were afraid of Amren in that moment, they put up wards around the room, just for context. Elain comes down the stairs, and Feyre says, "Do you need anything?" "No, I was sleeping, but I heard ... She shook her head. "I didn't hear you." Because remember, she can hear their heartbeats. Not just Lucian's, she can also hear Nesta and Feyre's, as she mentions before. She blinked at our formal attire, the dark crown atop my head and Rhysand's. "I didn't hear you." Azriel stepped forward. "But you heard something else?" Elain seemed about to nod, but only backed away. "I think I was dreaming. I think I'm always dreaming these days." "Let me get you some hot milk, Feyre." What is that gonna do? Putting a hand on her elbow to guide her into the sitting room. Elain shook me off, heading back to the stairs. As she climbed the first steps, she said, "I can hear her crying." I gripped the bottom post of the banister. "Who?" "Everyone thinks she's dead." Elain kept walking up the stairs. "But she's not, only different, changed as I was." "Who?" I pushed, but Elain continued up the stairs. So, I think this is Lauren. I know everyone's been arguing with us, right? Saying that it's Vanessa, or it's Demetra, or it's one of the queens. And that's not true, because this is before they formally met Vassa.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say, you know, she's having a vision of her before she met her, which, okay.
True.
But not one single soul ever believed Vassa to be dead. Ever in the books. Nobody ever believed her to be dead. There is a line that says that, I think maybe Lucian says it, where he says, like, her subjects in the mortal realm or whatever thought she was sick just because probably they didn't see her during the day because she's cursed.
Right.
But there was never any type of, oh, Vassa's dead.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
At all.
Right.
And not only that, but every time Elain does actually have a vision of Vassa, she always says the bird of fire or the firebird. And that's not in this. And what's particular about this is that it wasn't just a vision, it was a dream.
Yep.
Which is kind of different than a vision, right? And
yep.
if Lauren is in fact a Daemati or a seer, like we said,
yes,
she could be like,
Elain said,
connection.
Like me, she's
like
just different. Me. Like me, as I was. I think she says, as I was.
Yeah. Yeah, only different, changed as I was. I think that also means that she like, not that Elain was ever like sprightly and aloof. I mean, she kind of was in ACOTAR. Like, even though they were poor, she was still like optimistic and kind of
right.
And she bought Feyre the paints and all of that.
Right.
So I think that this also means that like they were both like traumatized, subdued,
broken,
brought into a different world that they don't know how to navigate.
Yeah.
Elain got these powers that she doesn't know how to control. Lauren isn't allowed to show her Illyrian wings. So I think
that's a whole other conversation that they could cut off, like when Tamlin had the wings in his sight, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. I think we went over the whole like glamour thing with the wings or whatever, but I do think like if Reese is half, then she would have the same thing. Like she'd be able to put them away and stuff like Reese because they have the same
Yeah.
parents, right? But yeah, everyone's like, this is about Vasa, this is about Vasa, this is about Vasa. And their argument for that is that on the next page, she then has her visions, which
Right.
includes Briolin's withering hands, Koshi's black box, and the feather of fire. But there's a very clear difference between the two.
Right.
Because this initial conversation takes place, and again, she said, I was dreaming, right? And as we know, she's only, as far as we know, ever had visions in her waking state.
Yeah.
Which, once she's awake now, she goes up the stairs and then she's thrust into those visions.
Yes.
So it's
yes.
two different conversations because she is cut off.
Yes.
After she talked, like she refuses to answer, like they're who, and Feyre and Nesta kind of grill her, and then she's like thrown into her visions. So it's two different conversations here.
Two different conversations, and it just, you have to take it so literally because that's how SJM writes.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone like thinks she's dead. It can't be Vasa.
Everyone thinks she's dead. Who does everybody think is dead? Because not Vasa. It would be Lauren. Lauren makes the most sense. Everyone knows she's dead, right? No one's seen her for
yeah.
She's changed as I was. We see that in the bonus chapter of like her personality. She's very subdued, like you talk about. So I personally, I think that they're amazing. Yeah. And
I have like one more quick mirror that I just thought about, but when Rune is sending Bryce through the gate and he says, you know, if Apollyon's cost is too high, don't come back for us, right? Yeah. And I'm thinking maybe Lauren planned on actually coming back and she didn't, and Tamlin actually at this point maybe thinks she's dead too. Yeah. And that's why everyone thinks she's dead.
Tamlin thinks she's dead, absolutely, because why else would he not have told Reese what had happened? Because the outcome's the same regardless, right? Like Lauren's not there. He can't explain it. He can't explain that she went to Midgard. So she's as good as dead to him. Tamlin truly thinks that. Yeah. I think he's had hope for a long time.
And I think that accounts for his wording in the apology to Reese, because initially, like, she was alive, he saved her, but she didn't come back like as planned, maybe.
Right.
Or he couldn't find a way to get her back, and maybe he thought that she was dead because he sent her through the thing, but he had no idea like where she was going to end up, right?
No. Neither of them. I don't think either of them knew. I think it was just like in the moment, there's trouble to get out. I don't care where I go. I just need to survive
get out with our baby.
Yeah.
Hopefully you end up somewhere where they're kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. But
I don't know. I'm so excited. More evidence.
Yeah. So I know we initially planned for the first 6 episodes of this podcast to be the theory, but we had so many things added on and we still have multiple pages. So it might end up actually being more like 8 to 10 episodes.
Yep. It's going to be a little bit long.
Who knows? We thought we could stay on track.
That doesn't happen ever when we sit and we talk and go over our different ideas, throw things back and forth. But either way, I'm so glad that you guys are listening with us, and so happy to have you on our podcast.
As of my last check, we have 45 followers. I think that's pretty awesome.
I love it. Thank you guys for following and listening to us.
Thanks so much, you guys. I guess we will see you all next time.
Yeah. We hope you guys have a good week.
We're filming this before you listen to this, but yeah, have a great week. I hope fall weather. Enjoy your pumpkin spice lattes or your apple macchiatos, which I prefer. And we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.